Okay, here we are on Flying Fish planking the hull. I'm going to show you, for those that are interested, if you don't want to use metal fasteners, how to make and fit trunnels or tree nails, as the old days, which were wooden spikes that they drove into the planking. So what I do is I have a pin vise here with a smaller drill and then a little bit bigger drill, one on each end. So I'm going to do this one here. So I take my pin vise, I get lined up. You can do it with a rotary drill if you want. I choose to do this because I find it a little more accurate, and doing it by hand, and it doesn't really take long. In fact, I'm already piloted down in there. Okay, so that's my hole. I drill it well into the bulkhead. Trunnel I made from toothpicks, goes down through this draw plate right here. I work them in there from the pointy end, and you don't have to go far. It gives you plenty to get down in there. You see that's a good depth. Then I take the bigger drill. After I've drilled my pilot hole, I take the bigger drill, center that in the hole, same angle. I'm just going to open that up, that plank, just a little bit. It's going to make it a little bigger for the fatter part of the trunnel when it seats itself, because you don't want to split the plank. So I just open that up. I don't go deep. The thing is, the plank is only a 1/16 of an inch thick, so I'm only going down about a 32nd. Just enough so I know that the fatter part of the trunnel is going to seat into the plank there like a bung, if you get my drift. And we take some glue, get some glue on the end of the trunnel. Okay. Put that down into the pilot hole. You have to feel it. You can find it. You got to find your hole. The smaller one that's in there. There it is. Then I just tap lightly till it's solid. Feel that? The hammer bounces off when it's in there solid. And we let that dry in place. It's got a little glue around it. Then we cut them off. So then you can sand them. The garbards and the upper whales, I've mostly used brass fasteners, small brass nails. These little tiny brass nails. And you cut the heads off them. Some of the heads I left on. The best thing to do is cut the heads off them. Put them down in there. These early planks, I wanted to make sure they stayed on. That'll cover with paint. And the rest of it in here in the middle sections, I'm going to probably just trunnel fasten. I found my trunnels that I made from my older toothpicks. These ones are long. They've got a good end on them. And I got a whole thing of them. Plus I got more toothpicks than I make my own. And it, it's relatively easy. You just grab a toothpick, Run it down into your, I break them in half. So you get two. Run it into the draw plate. Bingo. Okay. So, oops. Ooh, look at that. That stuck right in the rug. All right. So, pin vise, 2 different size drills on each end. Get lined up. Drill the small hole. I drill it well down into the bulkhead. Okay. And I go to the bigger drill. Open up the plank a little bit, so it looks like it's going to be countersunk. Like if you had a hard screw in there, that would be countersunk in there, and then you put the bung over it. Again, I try not to go all the way through the plank. It's a judgment call. It's all by feel. Then trunnel, glue, I use Type Bond wood glue on most everything that's wood in my models. I will use crazy glue or super glue now and again, but not all that often if I can help it. Okay. Center up. Find that hole. Down in there. Feel that? Oh, there she goes. And it's solid. Good. And you can sand them. They sand just like a bung. Okay. Does it take time? Yes, it takes time. However, as the builder, you know, I'm thinking a long way down the road. I don't want this to come apart. For example, I just restored a wooden model of the Flying Cloud that was built in the 1930s. Okay, so it was nearly 100 years old. I just restored it and re-rigged it and did a lot of repair work on it and rigging work. New jib boom, bowsprit, and all that kind of thing. All new head rig. So it's not out of the question that somebody may find themselves restoring this model, you know, in 95 years or 100 years or wherever it ends up. And thus, you know, you still want it to be basically structurally holding together. So I try to give that some thought during the construction on things that I've learned over the years on other restorations and things that I've seen that go, you know, come loose or you know, the last thing we want is all the planking to be springing off in, you know, 50 years or whatever, after I'm long dead and gone. Hear the difference? It gets down there, gets solid sounding. What do I got? One more? One more. We'll do the last one. Okay, again. Small pilot hole. Drill that right down straight in there, 90 degrees to the plank, perpendicular to the face of the plank. Drill it deep. Turn it over, we go to a little bigger drill bit. Now we're going to open that up a little for the trunnel, so it'll seat. And also when it, you know, again, when the fat, I do that so when the fat part of it gets down in there, it doesn't split the plank. That is not what we want to do. Here's another nice trunnel. Ooh, look at that one. That's an old one. That's from my old toothpicks. These toothpicks are new. The older, softer toothpicks are easier to make trunnels out of than the newer bamboo. I mean, you can do it. The bamboo's strong, but the wood on the old style, softer wood toothpicks is a little easier to make the trunnel itself. Okay, tap it down in there. Now it's seated. You hear the difference in the hammer? Take a little of that glue off. And let them dry. So we got a good bit more planking to do here. Okay. All right. So that's how you make trunnels, and well, that's how I make my trunnels, and that's how I put them in. And they'll last a long time. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Peter Warburton.